friends, I'm back with another book review. This book is the first in a YA fantasy series, and it is The Queen of the Tearling by Erika Johansen, published in July of 2014. In a land called the Tearling, Princess Kelsey Raleigh Glynn grew up in exile, raised in the forest by her two caretakers. From the moment she was born, her life was under constant threat by the heinous Red Queen, the sorceress ruler of the land of Mormain to the east. For her entire life, Kelsey has worn the Tearling sapphire, a crystal that has some sort of powerful magic within it and seems to have a life of its own. On her 19th birthday, the Queen's Guard, led by the gruff and infamous Lazarus, also known as the Mace, arrives to escort her back to the capital city so she can take her rightful place as queen on the throne, which is currently being held by her corrupt uncle, the Regent. Throughout her journey, she's ruthlessly hunted and attacked and arrives back home to see for herself the dismal state of her kingdom. Tensions rise across both lands as Kelsey's appearance and actions throw a wrench in the way that things have been running for years and draws the attention of the Red Queen. And it's up to the young Queen of the Tearling to make really tough decisions in the midst of striving to be the kind of ruler that her mother never was and winning the loyalty of her people. In my personal opinion, the cast of characters is the main highlight of this book. I really enjoyed Kelsey's moody teenage inclinations and naive sense of idealism and her determination to be honorable and respectable and bring her vision to life, despite being faced with mortal danger every step of the way. But she is young, feeling embarrassed and awkward about her physical appearance, and on top of that has a lot to prove because her mother, the previous queen, was apparently vain and empty-headed and left the kingdom in a pretty poor state after her death. There are a few scenes with Kelsey and a couple of the male characters that people might kind of roll their eyes at and think is cringy or cliche, but I think that her responses in those moments are very much in line with her young age and her sheltered upbringing. The Mace is your typical grave, badass bodyguard type character, but I really liked him. He just exudes this impeachable sense of honor, and I was really struck by his utter devotion to his duty and to Kelsey and the crown. And really, as the entire Queen's Guard as a whole was just really imposing and regal, even though most of the guys were just names on the page that I can't really remember now that I finished the book. But in the moment, I liked their characterizations, especially this younger guy named Penn, who is developed a bit more than the others, and I'm looking forward to reading more about him in future books. The Red Queen herself was portrayed as cold and evil, but also clearly afraid of Kelsey, this up-and-coming heir to the Tearling throne, and she's not as all-powerful as she appears and wants people to believe. Kelsey's uncle was totally pathetic and worthy of the disgust and anger that I felt towards him, and there are other characters, side characters, that all elicited pretty clear responses from me as I was reading, and I really loved that aspect of the book. I will say that the pacing was a little slow. There was a lot of traveling in the first half and lots of inner dialogue throughout, and Kelsey's doing a lot of learning about how things work in a royal court and household, but I think that what this book lacks in pacing, it makes up for with world building and question building, I guess. The entire time I was reading, I was filled with questions about an event called The Crossing that's referred to throughout the whole book. And I don't want to spoil the novelty of it with specifics, but there are places and things mentioned that had me questioning everything about the setting and genre of this book. It's so weird, and some people might be so confused as to be put off by it, but I was fascinated, and I really wanted to learn more about the Tearling and its history. There's obviously a broad overarching plot, but the motivations of some of the characters is kept a mystery, so some readers might be frustrated with that and feel like all of this is happening for no apparent reason. It was definitely something I noticed, but it didn't bother me because it's clear that those motivations will become clear in the future, and so many other things about the book held my interest. The magic in this book is pretty hazy and unclear. You don't get a good idea of how it works or who can do magic, and I wouldn't even use the phrase magic system when talking about this, because so far it isn't so much a system as just a handful of mysterious magical elements, so I hope that's explained better in the other books. So despite the slow pacing, there are moments of intensity and action that were frequent enough to keep me going easily, because I enjoyed the slower moments. I loved the characters and was intrigued rather than annoyed by the unanswered questions that kept popping into my head as I was reading. I give this 4 out of 5 stars, and I do plan to pick up the second book. There are 3 books in total in the Queen of the Tearling series, and this is the first one. It's been out for a little while, so a little late to the game, but I really enjoyed it. So please let me know your thoughts and opinions on this book. I'm really curious because from what I've seen of reviews, some people love it while others didn't really like it at all. I think mainly because of the pacing and actually having the opposite opinion of me on the characters. I think some people think that they were boring or not well written, but on that point, I respectfully disagree. I think that there was more character development that could have been done, but I think that you learn the things about the characters that are immediately relevant to the reclaim the throne and prove yourself capable and worthy plotline, leaving other things to be revealed later. So anyways, thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll see you in my next video. Bye!